That's part of your learning process. But always there to guide when you have questions. Dylan, make your price for the member. Only joking.
Yes, is it that easy? See, man.
No, it's not that easy. Ask everybody. I'm speaking specifically to the Belwa group now because I know that the Centurion group have always been online from the start of the semester. But since we've been online and will remain online for this week, Belwa students, how's everybody coping at home? All good? Please let me know, as I said, if there's anything. I mean, I'm not going to resolve any technical issues, but I can bring it to the attention of the people who deal with that. Anybody having any problems at the moment? Accessibility is not a problem. I'm specifically referring to the students who's usually there on a Monday morning in class up in 310. Everybody coping well at home? I'm assuming silence means everything's good. So I can continue with congratulations firstly to Man United, Man City supporters. We knew that you are going to win the league, but now it's official and you can start celebrating. I appreciate that. It was a bit of I was a bit jealous yesterday because after 30 years of not winning the league, Liverpool won it last year, but it was COVID and we couldn't celebrate with our fans. But I think it's nice to see that there's live action among the crowds as well. I hope this is an indication that we have crossed the bridge and that that everything's going to get better. I know that currently in South Africa we are battling a bit, but it's fine. It's one of those things. We just have to be more alert and more cautious. But to the F1 fans, finally Lewis Hamilton did win something. It's good. For those older people like myself, you probably haven't heard of him, but Phil Mickelson was the oldest person to ever win a major golf tournament at the age of 50 last night. I fell asleep. I'm definitely not in the same physical condition as he was, but it was good. There was ups and downs. My condolences to the Bull supporters. Sorry, I mean, could have gone both ways, but I think we'll look back at it, and if we complete the objective, we'll see. We'll conclude that maybe on the day the Lions were the better team. Anybody think? And then sadly, when Panika won, didn't win. He came fourth last night in his first race in America in the 200 meters, which is not his favorite. But it looks as if he has picked up an injury again. What's the lesson in this, people? Stay within your field of expertise. If you're not a touch rugby player, then do not go play touch rugby. To curtain raise a test match at Newlands. I think he's probably, in hindsight, and I said we all know hindsight is not exact science. You would probably not have done this if you knew what the outcome is going to be. I just hope he recovers well, because he's one of the very few that I actually have confidence in his ability to win a medal for us at this year's Olympic Games, although that's also another discussion. More than 80% of the Japanese population has indicated that they are not comfortable with hosting the Olympic Games this year. I think the International Olympic Committee has been very stubborn, and yeah, but let's see what I think it's sad. I know that I'm not an Olympian. I haven't been blessed with those natural skins, unfortunately. But I can imagine if you've been working on a project in your business, in your line of interest, and you're working for it for 4 years, and all of a sudden, at that last moment, it's just cancelled. So I can imagine how the athletes feel, but I think we need to take in the bigger picture into consideration, and that is globally we are in probably one of the most challenging times that we'll find ourselves. However, there's no doom and gloom. There's always hope. Had an interesting comment that a friend of mine made on the weekend. He said that if you want to really ensure that you are happy in life and content with what you do and with your life, find the 5 people that you are in contact with the most every day, because you will become the average of the 5 people that you are in contact with the most. It made me think for a while over the weekend, and yeah, I think that's the important thing. Find good friends and treasure those good friends. Anybody else at this point? I mean, anything I need to know? I know that this is we're entering that very difficult phase of the semester where you almost think that every module we have either a test or a class test or assignment to submit. It is the nature of the beast. This is where we have come thus far in the semester. We're at that point where those things start happening. So please make sure that you remain true to those measures that you've put in place to ensure that you are coping. I know some people have more than one ball to juggle. Some people work, some people have families and work, some people have work and they study. It is challenging. Find what works best for you and just stick to that. At this point, I know that assignment submission is due today, so if there's anything, please, I won't be able to address any specific concerns till after my classes today, which should be after lunch, 1:30. If you want to drop me email, I checked the emails this morning. Nobody emailed me, so I'm assuming that everything's going well, despite the questions this morning regarding assistance. But I know that was tongue in cheek, and I know that everybody is anxious because it's a first assignment submission. Just on the logistics side as well, one more thing I want to just bring to your attention is that again, I just want to highlight there is a survey that you have to complete, or which we encourage you to complete. A survey, as we've seen from the work that we've done this term, is an excellent way of anonymously getting feedback from individuals on how your business is doing and where you can improve. Similarly, with the survey that Stadia is conducting on each module that you do in the course that you've enrolled on, it's important that we get that feedback. It's also important that, like we have identified during the course so far, that you don't take the feedback personally, but that you, especially the criticism personally, but you see it as an opportunity to work on the aspects that you still have to improve. That's the one thing. And then also I've made it available the whole of tomorrow. Your next class test 3, I think it is. That will be on chapters 6, 7, and 8. Okay, I'll just remind you before we close for today's session. Anybody, any questions, logistic questions at this point? I want you to be in the right frame of mind before we continue with the session that we start today. Everybody good? All good? Please feel free to share. If it's too personal, drop me an email. I just need to take the opportunity to also my nose is blocked this morning, but I'm feeling much better than the last week. But I'm still on my my ginger and lemon tea, which I just took a sip of. Everybody stocked up, ready for the show for today? Yes, no, maybe, not sure. Ooh, it's a slow Monday. Everybody's talking. Everybody's probably thinking about the assignment. You shouldn't be doing it. You should be completed already. You should have been uploaded it already. But anyway, as I said, stick to the methods that work for you, and we'll deal with the consequences as they arise. Chapter 10 Chapter 10 we'll finish this week. It's an interesting chapter because well, the whole field of marketing interests me. So that's why I probably repeat myself at the start of every new chapter. It might not be interesting for many of you, but later on, I think in life, when it starts making sense and you actually start applying some of these things that you hopefully have learned and remembered, you conclude that, you know what, yeah, actually that it can be fun. So when you up to this point, we've identified that what makes the marketing process work is the product mix, the marketing mix, products, services, promotion, and the place where you can find your products. Up to this point also, we've mostly addressed how you market a product, something that you can taste, in my case not smell today, but that you can feel, hear and see. In other words, activating all your senses. It becomes a bit more difficult when you have a service that you are trying to market, because, and we will see in this chapter, there are specific characteristics that distinguish products from services, and because there's a distinction, we also need to market them slightly differently. Most of the challenges are generic and they are the same, but there are challenges to marketing a service that's slightly different to marketing a product. If you, for instance, if you're a hairdresser, the way in which you market your business, something that nobody can touch, somebody that the customer has to be there to experience the benefit of the service. Compare that to maybe going to the shop and buying a bread or milk, something that you can feel and touch, and which you can even taste. If it's a new product, there's often demonstrations that allow you the opportunity to taste the product and see if you like it or not before you buy it. If you go for a haircut, if you've changed from your previous hairdresser, you don't know how good it's going to how good the result's going to be until you've actually done it. Until you've had your hair done, then you can, maybe I should have stayed with that previous place that we went to, or not too bad. I'm not totally satisfied, but I'm also not disappointed. I'll give them another chance. I'll come back next time. So it's this. You cannot touch that experience. You only benefit it when that service has been performed. Where a product is quite simple. You buy a cool drink, you open it, you drink it, and you immediately have the satisfaction of that need. Right, so in this chapter, what we'll be looking at and concentrating on is to distinguish between a service and a product. We'll look at the different characteristics that differentiate between them and therefore guide our marketing strategies. We look at different types of services that we can have, that we can offer, or that is available, and then specifically describe the components of service products. Those are the characteristics that differentiate products from services. We also know that to market a physical product, the 4 P's form the marketing mix, and it's important for us to have a product, have a price for the product, promote our product by informing our customers where to find it. Like that we, excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze. My apologies for that. And we did that in the previous chapter when we addressed marketing communication. In other words, how are you going to tell your customers that you have a product and what the benefits are and where you can find it? And then also a place. Where are we going to find this particular product? Do you buy directly from the farmer at the farm stall, or do you buy it from a retailer like a Pick and Pay, for instance? When we deal with services, we add 3 more P's to the 4 P's in the marketing mix. So it's not just product, price, promotion, and place anymore. We add people, we add physical evidence, which is the environment and the building and the delivery trucks and the uniforms that the people representing that service provider wear, and excuse me, and the processes. The process that takes you can't. Some people often pitch up for a haircut and then they have to wait because they haven't made an appointment. There's a specific process that follows. You make a reservation to cut your hair. You arrive for the appointment. Often you're given the choice to should we quickly shampoo your hair, sir, before we wash it, before we cut it, or would you like us to do it afterwards? Then the hair is cut, service has been experienced. You give the choice: should I just blow dry it, or do you want some gel in it? Do you want us to wash it first? That's a specific process that is followed to perform that service. That's why the extra 3 P's, people, physical evidence, and the processes, are added to the original 4. So for services, we've got 7 P's in our marketing mix. Right. Definitely battling with my nose this morning. I think after that sneeze, my nose is open, but now it's running, which is probably a good sign. Any questions at this point? I mean, how have you experienced? We use services and products every day, people. Sometimes we don't even know and the difference, but hopefully this chapter will enlighten us to what the difference is between products and services, and how we experience the benefit of each differently. We know that by activating our senses, we can experience the benefit of a physical product. That's referred to the tangibility of the product. It's tangible because it's physical. It can be touched. Always remember, tangible, I can touch it, but not just touch it. You can sometimes even feel it. You can smell it. You can hear it. If there's a noise involved in a particular product, like for instance, you're buying a chainsaw, or you can hear the product and you can hear what it does. So they are usually the 5 senses that we have is what is targeted by marketers to try and create an interest in the product for through their marketing communication strategy. Services more tangible, as we've determined thus far, slightly more challenging for us, therefore, to market. When we look at services, if I ask you to name a few services, most of us will come up with the common ones like lawyers and restaurants and hotels and banks. There are a few more that we can add: the taxis, the Ubers that we use, the hairdressers that we visit. These are all examples, or further examples. The dentist we go to, all further examples of services that is performed. They add value to our lives. I think I've been to a dentist this year. I've had a plumber visit me. I haven't used the Uber this week. 3 images that we have on the screen of 3 different services. But I think we'll all agree that without services, we're going to have to be really skillful ourselves. I have the opinion, I'm not DIY shy. I actually love doing work in the garden and in my house, but I am reluctant to purchase certain items that I need to perform a specific service if I'm only going to use that service once or once every 5 years. I currently, the new place I've moved in just before lockdown has high ceilings. Normal ceiling height in any house is 2.4 meters. Mine is 3 meters. That extra 60 centimeters makes a big difference. It creates a greater volume, so your room looks much bigger, but it becomes a nightmare when you have to replace the light bulb in the center of the ceiling once the bulb goes. I have 2 bulbs at the moment that doesn't work. I do not have a ladder that can get me to that particular height. So, am I going to go out and spend $1,000 on a ladder that's going to be able to reach a 3-meter height? No. Am I going to rather pay a maintenance person to come out? $200. He has all the tools, and he replaces the light bulb? More than likely. So sometimes we forget that the service that is offered, the value that it adds to our lives, is dependent on our circumstances, because sometimes we don't have the time. Like in my case, I don't have the tools, and sometimes you just don't have the savvy. Am I going to try and do some electrical work at home? No, I'm not. I'm not keen on any electrical work. I'm not skilled to do it properly. I'm probably going to end up in ER if I try and do some DIY electrical work at home. It's quite evident from the examples that I've shared that the services that is available and that we use on a regular basis add a great deal of value to our lives. It makes our lives more comfortable. Sometimes we're not in a position to be able to afford a service, and therefore we battle on and try it ourselves. But if we are fortunate enough to be able to use the services of people that will make our lives more comfortable, because we don't have the skills, the knowledge, the tools to do it. Hence the fact that there is a gap in the market to perform these kind of services. And very often these services pop up because of people finding it difficult to be able to do something themselves, because it's too costly to do it themselves. And often it's just a once-off service. Right. If we have to define services, there are different definitions. The one that's most commonly used, and that is probably the simplest to explain, is it's an action of doing something for somebody else or for something else. We have determined already that you cannot touch it, you cannot see it, you cannot taste it, you cannot hear it, you cannot feel it. You can only experience that service. My apologies for using that particular image on the left-hand side of the screen. That's early on a Monday morning of a very juicy steak. It will satisfy your hunger. The steak itself will satisfy your hunger. But the manner in which, and anybody can go to the shop and buy steak and prepare it themselves. But sometimes, you know what? It's not just, it's maybe the fact that you sit down and go to a restaurant and have that steak and have experts prepare it for you and serve it, and you have to do nothing and just sit and relax and have a good conversation, is adds to the juiciness of the steak. It definitely adds to the overall experience that you have, because even if you duplicate the environment that you'll find in the restaurant in your own lounge or in your own dining room, the experience is going to be different, because you still have to prepare it and you still have to clean the dishes afterwards. And that's why people sometimes, as I said from previous examples as well, for convenience, they use a service. Okay. Who's tried to cut their hair themselves? Or who have allowed a friend to do it for them, so you can save an extra few bucks that you can spend elsewhere, and instead of going to the hairdresser or to the salon or to... Who's had that experience? Who's tried that? I can see none of you have done national service, because in national service, once they actually... That's Amelia, thank you very much. How did it work out for you? Or is it still working out for you? I was at I think it was my final year at varsity, and I decided to have a friend cut my hair. I've seen some of the other friends of mine who took that option, and I was quite confident and happy that it's going to work out. On that particular day, however, he was on the third floor in a flat, so obviously this is not the kind of thing that you're going to just do in your lounge in a small 60 square meter flat or bachelor's. Um, but we were actually on a small balcony outside, and as he started, the number 3 that he was going to use on my head actually fell 3 stories down. So he decided, okay, let's go for a number 2. Not a good choice. Okay, so sometimes it works out for you, sometimes it doesn't. Any own examples of services that you use regularly, regardless if you're happy with them or not? Remember, using a service, as I said, is either because you don't have the skill to perform that action yourself. Secondly, you don't have the money to pay for it and you'd rather try it yourself, or sometimes you do have the money and you just need the convenience. You don't have the time. Anybody, any particular service that you are using and have experience that you want to share with us, please? Everybody fast asleep this morning. What have you been doing the weekend?
What's the question?
Question was, I want students to share with me services that they have used, that regardless if you're happy or this is not about customer service. This is about a service that you have used because it was required. Maybe you went out for a couple of drinks and you didn't want to drive home, so you used the Uber service. Maybe it was because you don't have the tools to do it, that you got a garden service to perform that, to manicure your garden for you. We use services on a daily basis, and it is it's sometimes because we don't have the time, sometimes because we don't have the skill to perform those services ourselves, or those actions ourselves, that I wanted the students to share.
Yeah, I bought garage doors online.
How did that
And
work out?
and it worked out perfect. The delivery was nice, but then I had to get another company to come and install it.
Of course, yes.
So I got the product, which was delivered online. Everything's nice, and the guys that did the service of putting it in it's like a nightmare, man. They use different size bolts. They just put the put they just messed it up. Nice garage doors, and then afterwards I saw it and I'm like, I could have done this myself. It was actually such a simple thing, but it just seems like such a mammoth task to put in garage doors. And then the guys that I got in, they just screwed it up.
Again, the product itself is not going to give us the problems. The service is
Yes.
often giving us the problems. And that's why that one extra P that we've added to the marketing mix, people, the human element. The human element plays such an influential role in us experiencing a service as good or bad. The product itself often doesn't is not the issue in question here. The way in which the service was performed. You can have the best steak prepared ever in your life, but if the whole experience, the ambiance, maybe it was too loud or noisy in the restaurant, you waited a long time, all of these things collectively add to your service experience, and usually the problems is as a result of, and we'll see later on when we deal with the individual characteristics, the 5 specific characteristics that distinguish products from services. The one about heterogeneity refers to specifically that the service you'll experience today from the same service provider might not be the same next time because of human involvement. You go to a restaurant, you have a fantastic experience, service is fantastic, you go home with a big smile, happy to pay the bill, and it satisfied everything, all the expectations you had of the evening out. And then you go back a week or two later, total different experience. Why? It's not the same chef maybe working, it's not the same manager on duty, it's not the same waiter or waitress, and therefore your experience, although it's the same place, although the menu hasn't changed, although the products haven't changed, because of the difference in the humans involved in the delivery process of that service, it was a total different experience. Right. Nobody else has had good or bad experiences? Who's gone out for a couple of drinks that became more than a couple of drinks, that became an epic evening, realizing the fact that you should rather use a Uber service to get home, and that didn't turn out well? All good? Oh yes, I forget. I forgot completely. You guys don't drink and you don't smoke. Yes, my bad. Sorry. Students, any other experiences? Any own experiences that you've had? Who hasn't been to the dentist in the last 2 years? Surely, good or bad experience. Who hasn't been to the doctor? Who hasn't been out to a pub, to a restaurant? Surely, those services, or at least one of them, some have used in the last year. Come on, people, please share with me. Woo! You'll be living on the rocks.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes, please talk to me.
Look at the chat. There's a few interesting chats there.
Oops, I haven't scrolled down all the way to the bottom. My apologies for that.
Candice. Candice.
Yeah, I'll have to check on that. I'll have to do background checks on those people who claim those things. Okay, let me scroll right down to the bottom. I want to see Tankwin, Tarquin. You bought a surfboard online, and when it got delivered, oops, lazy. I can't see any more. Try to scroll down.
When the board was missing and only the fins were in the box.
Okay, now mine is just very slow. Board was missing and only fins. Oh my shucks. Well, that doesn't qualify as a surfboard. So, by the way, talking about surfboards, Tarquin, do you go surfing regularly? Reason for me asking is because my mother-in-law, I'll ask you where your hotspots are, where you go to. My mother-in-law retired, or my in-laws retired in Gansbaai, and it took a while for them to actually, or the Kelders, which is just about 5 k's at my side of Gansbaai, and very well known for shark cage diving. I haven't been. I haven't had the guts to do that. I mean, I'm just no. It's not on my bucket list. I'm quite happy to visit the aquarium and look at the gracious animals from a distance. But on the weekend, especially because Dyer Island, just about 15 k's off the coast of Gansbaai, they do, and they have for many years, it's probably the most extensive shark research that has been done, especially on the great whites, and they didn't just see one. It swam past them on the weekends, and what they've done is they've tagged them for many years, and they've developed an app that if you take photographs of their fins and the dorsal fins as well as their tail fins, you can actually identify the particular animal. This female great white was just slightly over 5 meters long. Now, and the reason why this is significant is because that area is very popular for sharks, and that's why they do the research there. It's because it gets deep very quickly. It's not your typical beach, surface beach, for instance. And they use that also because it's a very protective bay close to the reserve, where they can actually give birth. And apparently, this particular female shark, 5-meter female shark, spent at least the last 6 months at the depth of 1,000 meters, because there was some growth on her skin that comes from sea animals that only live at that depth, and that's obviously, and the reason why they live at that depth for most of the time is because obviously there's a lot of food there, and they only surface, and that's the reason why they've seen her now surface, is because she's pregnant. She's going to give birth to a couple of new great whites to add to Darkwood's pleasure of when he surfs. I've been asked many times by people to go out for a paddle, and I said no. I'll go out for a paddle, but I'm not going to go out for a paddle in Granger Bay, that area between Hermanus and Gansbaai. I'm very sorry. There's a reason why people do research on great whites in that particular area, because there's no point in doing research on an animal if there's no animals to do research on. The reason why they're doing it there is because there's a lot of them there. So yes, I stay clear of that. I love the beach, but I'm not great at the deep ocean. Anyway, services is, if we can look at another definition, the production of an essential intangible benefit, either in its own right or as a significant element of a tangible product, and we'll see what that means just now, which through some form of exchange satisfies an identified need. In other words, you sometimes have services that are pure services, where there's no tangible products involved, or then you also have what they call hybrids. It's a service, but there are physical products involved as well. When you book a room in a hotel, you book accommodation. Hotels provide you with a service of giving you a room, but there are also a restaurant in a hotel that you can use, and there is there's physical products involved. In that case, the bar fridge that you have in your room have products in. That's all part of the service, but some of it is tangible, and we refer to that as those types of services as hybrids. They're half service, half product, or they are services that also involve products. But we'll look at that when we look at the tangibility continuum in the form of image a couple of slides from now. The main and most obvious difference between products and services is that the product is physical and it's produced, where service is performed. In other words, what we've said so far is there's 3 possible ways in which you can describe a service if you are required to give a definition of that. But predominantly, the one that the golden thread throughout all of those is that A products or services are intangible. In other words, you cannot use your senses to necessarily evaluate them before you use them. They are performed and they are not produced. You cannot produce a visit to the hairdresser and copy it and store it in a warehouse and just pull it off the shelf and use it the next time you need your haircut. Services, or if we break down the definition of services, we have to highlight the two that you have on your slide, and that is that the service is performing a task, and then you, as the recipient of the benefit of that service, doesn't take any possession of that service. If you book a flight to fly from Cape Town to Joburg, you only buy the right to use the service that the airline offers you to fly from Cape Town to Durban or to Joburg, whatever your chosen destination is. You don't buy the plane. You only buy the use of that plane for the period and the duration of that flight. I think that's very clear to everybody, but it's a distinction that we have to make at the start of this particular chapter to ensure that you understand where we draw the line between what is a service and what is a product and what is a hybrid, which can be a bit of both. Right. The tangibility spectrum. Tangibility spectrum, let me grab my textbook. I think there's one in your textbooks as well. I'm going to check. I think it's the one on page 238. The one on page 238 is slightly different to the image that I'm going to show you on the next screen. It's structured differently, but it's exactly the same thing. I tried to find the exact same one to use this image for you, but I couldn't find it. But in essence, it's exactly the same. Tangibility refers to the extent to which a product can be held, touched. If you can't do that, it's not a product. In your tangibility spectrum, we're going to be, and let's look at the next screen and actually advance to the image itself. The tangibility spectrum specifically refers to the fact that on this end, it's completely, totally tangible. It's referred to as pure products. Salt can't be a service. It's a product. A desk, a chair is a product. It's not a service. You can touch it. You can feel it. In the case of salt, you can taste it. Probably even smell it. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have our pure services, teaching. What we're doing as lecturers at a varsity, what teachers does at a school. Those are what a dentist, those are pure services. Yes, teachers have some tools that they use, but they are the tools of the teacher to perform that service. It's not tools that you as the customer have. In the middle, we go back to the previous screen. In the middle, you have your hybrids. They are equally tangible and intangible. Like, for instance, restaurants. You go to a restaurant to do what? To eat? No, because you can eat at home as well. You go to a restaurant to experience the comfort of not having to prepare food, not having to clean up afterwards. So you pay for that service, but you also receive tangible, pure products in the form of the food that you have ordered. Between our pure goods or our pure products on the left-hand side of the continuum, my cursor, my mouse is also very stubborn this morning. The pure services that are products that we have on the left-hand side of our spectrum. Between them and the hybrids, we have products that we refer to as specifically tangible goods, in other words, a product, but it comes with an additional service that accompanies it. You buy a PC, for instance. There will be a techie that will quickly go through the process. He will install the software that you need on your PC before you get the PC. Often they go through a process of just quickly giving you a sort of a rundown of to what to expect. Most of them nowadays of the computer companies have an online techie that's available. That if you need any assistance, you have a help option that you can just click on. They will answer your questions. I had the same experience last week. There was something I was battling with on Canvas help desk. I clicked on the Canvas help desk. Within a couple of seconds, there was a reply. What is your problem? I identified what the problem was, and an email conversation started that provided me with information on how I can fix the problem myself on my side. Then we also have between our pure services and our hybrids, we have services like airlines. Airlines are predominantly a service that has tangible components as well. Like, for instance, the food that's served on the plane, the people, the waitresses, the stewardess, or the onboard crew. Those are all the people handling their luggage. Those are all part of the service, and it's dominantly a service, but it has some accompanying goods that come with it as well. Right, so you have on your left-hand side of the spectrum, you've got pure tangible products like shampoos and milk and butter and bread and stuff that you can buy. It's not a service, it's just a product. On the right-hand side, you have the exact opposite, which is pure services, like teachers and dentists and doctors. Then you have in the middle, you've got your hybrids, which is equally tangible and intangible. Between your products and your hybrids, you have tangible goods that also come with a service, like a vehicle. The vehicle that you bought is a tangible item, but it also comes with a maintenance plan and a service plan. So when you take it into the dealership for each service, that service is performed. It's all part of the product. It's not the predominant aspect. The car is still a product, but it has an accompanying service that comes with it. In other words, the mechanics that can work on it. Then you have between your hybrids and your pure services on your right-hand side, we have services. Predominantly, they offer a service like a hotel, but they have accompanying goods, or airlines for that matter, the accompanying goods that comes with that service. Is everybody clear on this? Is there any service or product or item that you are unsure where we'll put this on the spectrum that you want to ask me? Give me an example of something, and we'll figure out where it fits in. Just to make sure that you understand the concept, the 5 specific degrees of tangibility. Oh, good. No? Yes? A phone company. Are you referring to Telkom, or are you referring to a service provider like Cell-C, for instance, or Vodacom? Vodacom mobile phone suppliers are all service providers, because we sign up to use the services that the phone, which is the tangible element, is required for the service to be performed. The services that a Vodacom or a Telkom or a MTN perform cannot be done without a tangible product. You'll find them that they are very close to a hybrid. You'll find them that they are probably still more a predominant service that has a accompanying product that comes with it. In this form, in this case, the phone. But you either on prepaid, it's a service that they offer. They have these. They have the cell phone towers, that infrastructure that allows you to use through the purchase of hiring of the phone, depending on the package that you have with them, to use the service of talking to your friends and using all the functions that the phone offers you. But the service, they've got the infrastructure, everything in place that allow you to be able to make use of that particular service, if that makes sense to you. Anybody else? Any other examples that you want to run past me? All good? Okay, then we move on. Thanks, Candice. Right, the five characteristics that distinguish between products and services. I think it's on page 239. It starts on 239 and it goes on to 240 in your textbooks, for those who have textbooks. The five distinct characteristics is the intangibility of the service, the inseparability of the service, the perishability of the service, the heterogeneity of the service, and ownership or lack of ownership specifically. Those are the five things that make services very distinguishable from products. Intangibility, in other words, you cannot touch it, you cannot see it, you can't taste it. You buy the service, you use the service, and you experience the benefit. Inseparability means that the production and the consumption happens at the same time. If you're not at the doctor, he cannot perform his service. If you're not at the hairdresser, they can't cut your hair. The customer receiving the service and the benefit of the service, and the service provider providing the service, both need to be there, and the actual service for it to take place needs to happen at the same time. You cannot send somebody else to the hairdresser to have your haircut. You have a headache, but you send somebody else to the doctor. No, you're the one with a headache. You're the one that needs to go to the doctor. You're the one that needs a tooth pulled. You can't send somebody else. I know. I wish I can sometimes send somebody else to the dentist to have a tooth pulled instead of my own. But unfortunately, that would not qualify as a service if the customer with the problem is not there to be serviced by the service provider. Perishability, you cannot store it. You cannot store the physical product. You can't take the doctor home and put it in a cupboard and keep him there until you are sick again and use their services. Heterogeneity refers to the quality of the service, the level of quality levels of the service, the way in which you experience the service, because of the human involvement, is going to be different from one day to the other. And then the ownership. We've addressed most of these already, but we are now just categorizing them specifically. Is the lack of ownership. You don't own the hairdresser. You don't own the airline. You don't own the restaurant. You basically just pay to temporarily use the complete package that they offer as part of the service that they deliver to you. Is that clear to everybody? Is that clear to everybody? I want to start with each of these individually and provide a bit more information on intangibility, separability, perishability, heterogeneity, and ownership. But I don't want to start it now with a couple of minutes to go, and then we'll have to repeat ourselves tomorrow. So on Wednesday, sorry. I'd much rather start with these 5 characteristics when we have our next session on Wednesday. I do want to finish off by reminding you of completing the online survey. It'll take a couple of seconds. And also that tomorrow, the whole day of tomorrow, I know tomorrow is a class-free day for you. The whole day of tomorrow, you can go online and quickly complete your class test 3, which is on chapter 6, 7. No, I'm talking nonsense. No, I'm not. It's chapter 6, 7, and 8. Once I've finished my last class for today, I'll just post an announcement onto Canvas for those people who've missed it. Share on your WhatsApp group amongst each other. Class test 3 tomorrow, available the whole day, chapter 6, 7, and 8. For those who do visit Canvas, and you definitely have to visit Canvas today because you still have to submit your assignments. There will be an announcement posted to remind you of the 2 aspects that I've just pointed out. Anybody, any questions at the end of our session today? Tiffany, Candace, Lachlan, anybody? Nobody? Andre, nobody? Any questions? Thanks, Lachlan. You all good? Thanks, Candace. Teresa, thank you very much. Andre has a question? Or you're just saying hi or bye or good?
I'm saying all good and bye.
That's a thumbs up. That's not a hand raise.
Yes, I know.
Well, okay, let's do a high five in this case. Okay, for those who are very anxious because it's assignment submission, please people, don't be. It's straightforward. I just want to remind you of one very important thing that I spoke about on Friday. Do not submit 2 documents. Part 1 and part 2 have to be part A or part B, regardless how they're numbered. There are 2 parts. Submit 1 document because Turnitin only allows you to submit 1 document. Okay, I'll close with that. Good luck for those who still have to finish off on their assignments. Good luck for those who are working on other assignments. Good luck if there's any formal test that you're writing. I thank you for today's session, and we can chat again on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody.